Rick and Morty is back. Last week we were left without a new episode of our favorite cartoon, but luckily this week we were not left hanging. Episode 4 was filled with fantasy, hilarity, and some amazing guest stars too.
Alright, that was a good one.
Check out all the rest of the video for all of the details, but if you haven't seen the episode yet, watch out. We are about to spoil it for you.
Maybe it's time you stopped asking questions and started having fun.
Oh.
Now that that's out of the way, let's get into it. After a disappointing rerun episode last week, this Sunday we finally got our Rick and Morty fix back, with an all-new episode amazingly titled Claw and Hoarder Special Rickdoms Unit. Rick has expressed his disdain for anything mystical or magical in the past, which we saw in the episode Something Ricked This Way Comes.
Rick! Hey, I'm not judging, just like to shoot straight. I'm a man of science.
When the devil opened a store of cursed items in town, Rick couldn't help but make a complete fool out of him. But that doesn't change the fact that Morty is a big fan of the fantasy genre. So in the beginning of this latest episode, when Morty demands that Rick provide him with a dragon in exchange for helping him fight robots in space, it wasn't totally out of character. After crash landing in Malta, Rick relents, and the next day a dragon appears on the Smith's doorstep, waiting to be soul bonded with Morty for an eternity by the wizard who brought it there. The wizard hands Morty a book of spells and lore and disappears through a portal. Game of Thrones fans are in for a very happy surprise as the dragon, who calls himself Baltholoma, is voiced by none other than Liam Cunningham, who played the beloved Davos Seaworth on the show.
I've never been much of a fighter. Apologies for what you're about to see.
My name is Balthamar.
Well, that might hint that the episode is about to be a Game of Thrones parody. Since when has Rick and Morty ever done anything that was expected of it? Never. That's who. Wait. Meanwhile, Jerry comes downstairs and asks Rick about a mysterious talking cat who we haven't gotten a look at yet. Rick claims to know nothing about it, and finally we meet a very cute, polite talking cat who sounds a little like Ferris Bueller.
I asked for a car, I got a computer. How's that for being born under a bad sign?
I want you to take us to the airport and get us 2 first-class tickets to Florida.
That's because he is. Matthew Broderick lent his voice to this gray cat who is all about encouraging Jerry to stop asking questions and have a little fun. Things get a little suspicious, however, when the cat's first request is 2 first-class tickets to Florida, but more on that later. Back to Morty. At first he tries to avoid any sort of hierarchy in his relationship with the dragon and asks what it would like to do. When the creature responds that it would like to sleep out the human age in its cave, Morty instead suggests a 20-minute nap and then more soaring through the air. The grumpy dragon agrees but doesn't seem all that interested in what Morty wants to do. When Rick bests the dragon in a short battle, the two find common ground among the dragon's hoarded possessions and become friends, listening to Mask Off by Future and inhaling volcanic fumes. When Morty summons his dragon and simultaneously texts Rick to find out where they are, both dodge him with a gif of Taylor Swift waving her hands in the air. They take off to wreak havoc in a zoo, and after a while the pair get close. A little too close. So close, in fact, that their souls bond, just as Morty and Summer find them and catch them in the act. And it's a little uncomfortable. When Morty tears up the original contract, the wizard reappears, apologizing for the unusual occurrence and taking the dragon back to their magical land for punishment. But not until he whips him repeatedly and shames him for being, well, something we're not allowed to say here on YouTube. Rick, Summer, and Morty follow the two into the magical kingdom to save the dragon, only to find out that Rick's gadgets don't work on the other side. When the wizard winds up hanging Morty's dragon for his, promiscuous ways, it turns out that because it bonded with Rick, he gets hung too. Only it takes about 78 years to fully hang a dragon, so it's more of an annoyance to Rick for the moment. He creates a ray gun by harnessing some mystical powers, conjures a bunch of enchanted arrows for Summer, and the trio set off to find the wizard. Eventually they free him from his shackles and all 4 fly away. Oh yeah, and all the while Jerry and the talking cat are hanging out in Florida, playing beach volleyball and sailing around on a party yacht. The cat seems to get progressively more and more annoyed that no one is asking him why he can talk, before upsetting a couple of Florida bros and being thrown overboard for asking too many questions. Back in the magical realm, the group have taken shelter in a cave that happens to be occupied by a banished group of other adventurous dragons. They all decide to band together to take down the controlling wizard in order to be free. Together, they all soul bond in a way that we honestly never thought we'd see in this or any other lifetime, and become one giant phoenix dragon entity and quickly defeat the wizard. Rick and his grandkids make it back to Earth through a portal, but unexpectedly the dragon follows them through and begins trying to convince someone to soul bond with him. Both Rick and Morty have lost interest due to the creepy nature of the soul bonding experience, and Morty rejects him and sends him on his way as Rick goes to pick up Jerry and the cat at the airport. They touch down in a mysterious desert and Rick finally asks why the cat can talk, before trapping him in a cube in order to scan his mind. When Rick and Jerry look at the scan, they see terrors beyond their wildest imaginations. Rick quickly banishes the cat into the desert as Jerry sobs on the ground. So disturbed by what he has seen, Rick almost turns his blaster gun on himself before deciding instead to wipe Jerry's memory. At the end of the credits, we see the cat and the dragon cross paths, and it looks like they might have found someone new to bond with for now. Whether we'll ever see Bartholomew or his mysteriously disturbing cat ever again remains to be seen, but either way, they were both awesome additions to yet another amazing episode of Rick and Morty.
Someone has to remember.
Someone will.
What did you think of this episode? Did you like the fantasy element? And how exactly do you think the cat got his voice? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button to keep up with all of our latest videos.